The film opens in 1944 during World War II in Germany. Indiana Jones has been captured by Nazis led by Colonel Weber, who believe he is a spy. They leave him to be hung to death until a bomb drops down into their base, taking out the Nazis while giving Indy a chance to free himself. Indy's colleague, Oxford professor Basil Shaw, has also been captured. Indy hijacks a vehicle and pursues a train where Basil is being taken, while fighting some Nazis along the way. The Nazis have acquired the Lance of Longinus, thinking it will give them an advantage in the war, but after Indy boards, both he and Weber's second-in-command Jürgen Voller realize the lance is a replica. Voller is also in possession of the Antikythera, the Archimedes dial. Indy fights his way through more Nazis before rescuing Basil and taking the dial with him. Weber chases them to the roof of the train and fights Indy until Basil shoots him and gives Indy a chance to kick Weber off to his death. Voller pursues them, only to get knocked off the train. Indy and Basil jump before the bridge gets blown up by the Allies. Jump to 1969. Indy wakes up on the day of Apollo 11 moon landing. He goes to his job as a professor at Hunter College, where his students are uninterested as he discusses the Battle of Sicily. A young woman, Helena, sits in and contributes to the lecture. After class, Indy walks into a retirement party for him, while Helena follows him. Unbeknownst to her, a CIA agent named Mason follows Helena and reports to her boss, Voller, who somehow survived and now works for NASA under the name Schmidt, alongside other Nazis, including Kleber and the brutish Hawk. They have come to seek the dial, as he believes that it can help him undo the past and help the Nazis win the war. Helena catches up to Indy, who doesn't recognize her at first, but then realizes she is Basil's daughter, and therefore his goddaughter. She sits down to discuss with him her own work as an archaeologist and how she tried to continue her father's work. Helena says that the dial has been split in two, and she wants Indy to help her find the other half in Tangier, even though unlocking the mysteries of the dial was what drove Basil insane. However, Indy agrees to give her the piece of the dial that Basil kept. Indy brings Helena to the storeroom at the college, while Voller's goons show up. Kleber and Hauke kill two of Indy's colleagues before trying to corner him and Helena. Indy knocks over a row of shelves, which crushes one of the Nazis, before Helena runs away with the half of the dial. Indy gets captured, but loses the Nazis in the middle of a parade for the moon landing on a horse, while Kleber and Hauke chase after him. Indy takes the horse through the subway tunnels and manages to outrun them before hopping on a train himself. Indy is framed for the murders of the two professors, but before a civilian can identify him, he is taken by his old friend Sala. After having a heart-to-heart about their former adventures, Indy thinks his days of exploring are up, but Sala convinces him otherwise. He takes Indy to the airport so he can join Helena, after divulging some valuable information about the type of people that she is going to meet with. Indy arrives at a casino in Tangier, owned by a criminal called Big Rahim. His son, Aziz Rahim, has a bone to pick with Helena. Indy enters a private auction that Helena is attending and trying to sell the half of the dial. He stops her and gets into it with the other attendees, more criminals that fire their guns at him. Indy and Helena flee with her young sidekick, Teddy Kumar, but Voller and his goons have tracked them down and steal the dial. The trio then have to get away from Rahim and his goons as they pursue the heroes riding a tuk-tuk, and they in turn go after the Nazis. The three lose Rahim, but Voller and his men are taken in a plane by Mason and her team. Kleber shoots her and helps Voller hijack her plane to continue their search. Indy and Helena know that a tablet to help locate the other half of the dial is somewhere in the Aegean Sea in Athens, so they enlist the aid of Indy's captain friend Ronaldo to take them there on a boat. Before their trip underwater, Helena asks Indy what he would use the dial for, and he says he would use it to convince his son Mutt to not enlist in the Vietnam War. His death broke him and Marion so bad that they are now in the process of divorcing. Ronaldo joins Indy and Helena as they scuba dive to locate the tablet. Indy has to deal with eels, which are just as bad as snakes for him, but they manage to pry it from a shipwreck. Unfortunately, the Nazis have located them as well and cut off their oxygen supplies, forcing them to swim back to the surface. While interrogating them for the tablet, Voller shoots and kills Ronaldo when he tries to defend Indy. Voller then tries to persuade Helena with diamonds to join their cause, but she is concealing a stick of dynamite that Indy helps her light to give them. and Teddy an opportunity to escape. While sailing away, Indy takes a moment to mourn Ronaldo, but Helena says that the Nazis don't know the location of the tomb of Archimedes, which contains the other half of the dial. Indy takes the tablet and melts the wax coating it, revealing a golden plate that can lead them to the tomb's location. Indy, Helena, and Teddy arrive in Sicily. Teddy splits off from the group and gets found by the Nazis after Voller followed them once more. Indy and Helena witness them taking him away and try to follow after stealing a wedding car. They, plus the Nazis and Teddy, arrive at the same cave where the tomb is located. Teddy is handcuffed to Hauke, whose weight causes a footbridge to collapse and send them swept away by the current. Teddy manages to take Hauke's keys and leave him trapped to drown, while Teddy gets away from the Nazis. Indy and Helena come across the tomb and find the dial in Archimedes' hands, along with, to their surprise, a wristwatch. Helena deduces that Archimedes traveled through time, just as Voller manages to locate them yet again. He reveals his plan to go back in time and kill Hitler, since he knew all the mistakes he would make. Voller takes the other half of the dial and combines them. Voller takes Indy on a plane with him, as they intend to ride through a storm that will open the portal unlocked by the dial. Helena sneaks onto the plane while Teddy hotwires another plane and flies after them, unaware that the pilot is in there sleeping. Indy then tells Voller that he didn't take continental drift into account, so they would not end up going to the start of WWE. Voller realizes too late that Indy was right, as both planes go through a portal that takes them to the siege of Syracuse. After doing away with more Nazis, Indy and Helena grab a parachute and jump off the plane. Voller and Kleber perish when their plane does down in a fiery blaze. The site of the planes is spotted by Archimedes himself. He comes upon the plane wreckage and pries the dial from Voller's corpse, along with his watch. Indy and Helena are found by Archimedes and his pupil, as he realizes his invention would become a reality, and the heroes realize it was always intended to send the user back to this exact time and place. Indy tells Helena he wants to stay there, in this time period, since he wants to actually be part of history, and because he doesn't think he has a future back home, but Helena knocks his lights out and boards him onto the plane with Teddy. Indy wakes up in his apartment once more and is surprised by Marion arriving with Helena, Teddy, Sala, and his grandkids. They leave Indy and Marion for some private reconciliation. As Indy realizes, she still needs him. They share a kiss. We then see Indy's trademark hat hanging out to dry, with the film closing on an iris around the hat. And then Indy grabs it,